This is a great time to surrender. Surrender with all of the astrology transits that are happening currently. We're in the middle of eclipse season. We have a Venus retrograde. Mars just went direct. Neptune is about to transit out of Pisces. That's a 14-year-long transit. We're adjusting to Pluto being in Aquarius. That's an 18-year-long transit. Crazy. We're about to start the astrological new year. I don't know if I said that already, but that's a thing. Mercury's retrograde, and I didn't even realize it because we got all this other stuff going on. We're in the middle of shedding our old self. It's like the new self. How do I say this? The snake doesn't just shed its skin and then grow its new skin from nothing. It already has new skin underneath of it. So we've been, for most of us, probably for a couple years now, we've been growing this new version of ourselves underneath of this old layer of us that is not going to fit anymore eventually, right? As we're growing it, we know we're going to turn into someone else, something different. And right now in this season where we are currently at this time, how many ways can I pronounce it? We're shedding the old version of us that's covered us and guarded us and kept us protected for years as we have been growing our new version of self underneath of that kind of, old skin, the cave that we've been in. And so when I say right now is a great time to surrender, shedding the skin doesn't always happen in one clear shed. Sometimes it's like piece by piece, Sometimes it's a chunk here and then you got a chunk there a little bit later on. We don't always get to control how the endings happen or how death comes through. We also don't get to control what we've grown. We've already grown into something, but then what that looks like once the skin of old comes off and we're in the new skin, we're walking around as a new person. We don't really have a say anymore. We already had a say, but we don't know what it's going to look like till we come out of it. That's really what I'm trying to get at. We don't know until we're there. And I found myself having to surrender to the process recently. There's an old version of me who just has to go right now. It's not that she is not loved or admired or welcome, but I'm different. I'm new. I've chosen to be different. I've chosen another path. I've chosen more for myself in other ways than that younger version of me would have done. So yeah, is it a little bit uncomfortable? Sure. Shedding of the skin is a little bit strange, a little bit weird, Get the dust off. Snakes, when they shed skin, they roll around in the dirt. You gotta get a little bit messy. Get in between some rocks and some hard places to get it off, the wiggle. And I also know, as someone who's been through many experiences where surrender meant danger, sometimes I struggle with surrendering. Let me hold your hand when I say this, okay? Gentle kind. If you've been through an experience where you have been met with a surrender that was either not your choice or caused you harm in some way, surrendering is a little bit scary. And if you're in a position right now where you're able to have a safe, healthy surrender to your new self, to this person you've chosen to be and grown into, honor those previous versions of you, They did a lot of work to get you there. Thanks, younger versions. And now you're here. Surrender. Sometimes we must do it in fear. And even if fear is not around, if fear is or isn't around, having a healthy relationship with fear can be helpful. I know that's one thing that I really work on in my personal world. That's true. Whenever it pops up, I remind myself I'm safe and that I love myself, and then I work through whatever's coming up. So surrendering in my world and in my book of things is not just how do I say this? It's not just doing nothing. It's not just doing nada. We gotta still get up and live our life, right? It's more than just realizing that we've reached a point of no control. I cannot control what is around me or who I've become. I just am now. I've done a lot of work to get here. Done a lot of work to change. Done a lot of work to rearrange. Maybe that work is done and it's time for that new version of you to see the sun. Surrender to what is already done. Surrender to the work that has gotten you here. And surrender to who you are now. I think honestly, that might be the most important one. I think that's the one, guys. I think that's the one. Surrendering to yourself, surrendering to you now, surrendering to the life that you are creating. Interesting also, the process being processed, the procession from one thing to the next. We're kind of in the middle right now, to be honest. We might be in the growth of things, but the North Node in Pisces has us moving through a big old transition. So we're still growing and changing, and surprise, that's life. Surprise. We're still growing and changing. So, surrender to what you need to. Guard yourself if you need to. Mars in Cancer right now is very heart guarded, when to guard, how to guard, where to guard. And having inside of that crab's shell, the safe, healthy space. So go back to holding your hand. Surrender how you need to, when you need to. If you're someone who's actively lived through trauma that made surrendering a hard thing to do, give yourself the patience that you need because I was gonna say something else, but no, just because. Yeah. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Keep up the brew. Even if that means surrendering. You know what? I know it's true for me, so the surrender. Who am I now? Who will I be? What did I become? How did I get here? Oh, that's crazy. Crazy. And if we're in a moment of surrender, we're also in a moment of receiving. If we are in a moment of surrender, we are also in a moment of receiving. Grateful for those words. So receive. We're meant to leave. And when we are receiving, we are also leaving. Look at all the fun word spells, rhyming, whatever. It's great, okay? So surrender, receive, then leave. That's a good 3. That's a good tree. Yeah. Surrender, receive, then leave. I think that's the tree I needed to see, honestly. Thanks for sitting with me. That's an incredible tree. Receive. What did I say? Surrender, receive, then leave? Yeah, that's the one. So congrats on the work already done. Congrats on who you become. And congrats on whatever it is that you're receiving, okay? Clap for yourself a little bit. Pat yourself on the back. Go celebrate. I don't know what you're celebrating, but go get up and celebrate. Or sit and celebrate. Sometimes you gotta, sometimes, yeah, it is. Anyways, I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the celebrations. Enjoy the receivings if you are able to do so. And congrats on where you're at and the work that you did to get to where you are. Yeah.